let's talk about gender differences. Guys are from Mars, girls are from Venus, which takes its title from a multi-zillion number of books, bestseller, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, several decades ago, which took off like crazy because a lot of people in the culture at that time were believing that there were no substantial differences between men and women other than plumbing. Just reproductive differences, but they're really were inside where we think and act and believe the same. And this marriage counselor, John Gray, started making some observations that were proving very helpful in his marriage counseling. So he wrote this book on Mars and Venus, and opens with a fairy tale that once upon a time, all men were from Mars and all women were on Venus. And one day, men invented a telescope, and as they're looking through the skies, they see this beautiful planet, Earth, that's between Mars and Venus, and they thought it was really lovely. And then they kept looking through their telescope, and they spotted Venus, and they spotted these beautiful creatures, these ladies on Venus, and went, let's invent space travel and go visit them. And so the men from Mars and the women from Venus were just delighted to meet each other, and they had such a great time together. They decided, let's all of us jump in a spaceship and go to Earth.
But on Venus, they all appreciated and understood the differences between men and women.
So they lived on Earth for a while, happily, until not, because they stopped remembering that men were from Mars and women were from Venus, and everybody expected the other people to think and act and believe like they did. And they needed to be reminded that there are some very important differences between the way men are and the way women are. And this is obviously what we're going to be talking about in terms of differences between guys and girls. We're painting in very broad strokes. What we're not making any statements about all guys are like this and all girls are like that, because it's clearly not true. There's more of a bell curve, with outliers on either side, but a whole bunch of people are similar to each other. And so this is we're halfway through the week. It's time for a little light entertainment. We're not going to go deep into worldview or apologetics. This is more in terms of helping you maybe understand yourself, your brothers, your sisters, somebody you'll be dating, somebody you'll be marrying, that may prove helpful relationally.
We didn't need it at all. Yeah. Okay, guys. Guys get their sense of self from achieving things, doing things. Men are very task-oriented. We also tend to be self-reliant. Our older son, when he was still very young, do it myself. Sue was trying to help him with something. Do it myself.
His first full sentence.
Yes, do it myself. I'm also tend to be fairly self-reliant. If I'm struggling, somebody asks me if I need some help. No, I got it. Even now with the scooter I'm in, I hate to ask somebody to go get a drink for me. I hate it that somebody has to bring the drink to me. I want to do it myself. So, for men, as I just hinted to you, to ask for help is a sign of weakness. It usually simply means that the man cannot handle it on his own, and therefore he's not an efficient man. To be offered help equals the man being a loser. Somebody thinks he can't handle it on his own, So if somebody offers to help him, he's not terribly thrilled with that. Leave me alone. No, I can handle it. You just go do your own thing. I can handle it.
Girls, we get our sense of self from relationships. It's not that we don't want to achieve things. It's just that when God created Eve, he did so to make her a companion for Adam and the mother of all living human beings. He made Eve to be very relational. And so that's how we are. We're going to put people and relationships above just about everything else. Where guys tend to be task-oriented, give me a to-do list, girls are relational-oriented. And we're all good with interdependence, with relying on others, having others rely on us, connecting with each other. You see the picture of middle school girls in the bathroom just hanging out with each other. It's a great picture of how we are, which is why girls will get up and go to the bathroom together in pods. You don't see that happening with guys.
No.
You know,
if I get up, go to the bathroom and say, you want to come with me?
3 or 4 guys getting up to go to the bathroom together, it's like, you don't see it. And because we're different. When we ask for help, if we need to or not, we feel like we're giving somebody a compliment, we're inviting them into our space. If we are offered help, we feel honored. So for example, let's say there's a party and the chip bowl gets empty and a girl picks up the bowl and heads for the kitchen. She's going to go refill it, and you can have 3 girls jump up and go, hey, let me help you. I was like, how many people does it take to dump a bag of chips into a bowl? 1, but a bunch of people will go together to help each other just so we can be in the same space and be together. And so you can see how there could be a setup for misunderstanding guys and girls if the male mindset is you lose points if you need help, and girls are like, if you need help, that's cool. To offer help is to honor somebody. And so for a girl to offer help to a guy, it feels shaming. It can feel shaming to him. And for a guy to look at a girl struggling with, let's say, changing the tire on a car and driving right by because he's thinking she wouldn't want help, because you get more points by doing things by yourself. And so that's not the way it works. And so it's good to know that the differences between guys and girls in this area.
Now, for us guys, along with being action-oriented, self-reliant, we're always going to focus on the goal. In my late 30s, early 40s, I ran 7 different marathons. And my focus was always to finish. I hated to not finish. Even if I had to walk for a little bit, I wasn't going to stop. I was going to get all the way to the end. I was going to finish. And so for most men, it really is, whatever the goal is, we want to be able to achieve it and to get to it and to get it accomplished.
Because our brains are literally wired differently, girls tend to enjoy a process more than a straight line of A to B. So, for example, road trips. Have any of you ever had a road trip with your family? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, often what will happen is most of the time Dad drives and he gets behind the wheel. He's focused on the goal. We're going to drive to Destin, Florida. It takes 12 hours. Last time we took about that long. I bet we can shave 15 minutes off.
Or half an hour.
So, nobody's going to be allowed to drink anything.
In the car.
In the car. We'll only stop for gas. And that's when everybody can go to the bathroom. Surely we can make it in less time because we're focused on the goal. And it'd be real easy for mom to sit there and go, oh, at least 12 hours together as a family. We can play games and play an audio book. And maybe we could stop and look at the roadside signs. Historical markers, that's right. We could do that on the way. Needless to say, there would be a disconnect in how we're thinking.
We could, but not. For guys, we tend to be quite competitive. You can see some women at food eating contests, but it's mostly men. There are women who will play competitive sports, but they tend to be not as aggressive at it as most men can be. So, yeah, there are plenty of women who will play competitive sports, but again, not to the degree of aggressiveness that most men will. And I can't imagine being in a hot dog eating contest. I just, no thanks.
I can't do that, sorry.
Someone has said that when you have a boy, you're looking at a contest. There's just something naturally competitive. And I've seen cartoons of just little kids where mom says to them, ready, 1, 2, 3, go. And they don't even know what the game is or what the race is or whatever, but man, they're off and they're there to win. Some years ago, I was giving this talk to a group of moms of littles, and the light came on in this one mom's eyes, and she said, I can verify about the competitive thing. I couldn't understand why the hall bathroom smelled like pee all the time. I was cleaning it a lot, but it kept smelling of urine. And one day I was walking down the hall, and my 2 sons are standing in front of the toilet with their pants down, and they're peeing into the toilet and inching back to see how far back can they get from the bowl of the toilet and the stream still go inside the toilet. And of course, what that meant is the person out first
has spilled.
The urine is running down the outside of the toilet.
Rory, what's your comment on that?
What does that mean?
You seem to be experienced on it. What are you talking about?
On what?
Yeah,
Yeah, I do it every day.
How far can you go?
It reminds me of how the 2 little boys would shoot pee in the hallway. Actually, I don't know how that story goes. Sue, how does that story end?
I'll show you.
Well, when she figured out
I don't think I want to see a video of Rory
what was going on,
When she figured out what was going on, come on.
she instructed them in how to clean a toilet. And they were having this is like, do not do this. I'm going to make you clean the toilet as a result of you having this little competition. Anyway, girls.
And they likely stopped pretty soon, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So girls are, it's not that there are no competitive girls. You all know competitive girls. But because girls are created to be more relational, we tend to be more cooperative than competitive. And let's work together and let's be on the same team. Let's build relationships. And that tends to be the mindset of most girls and
With
women.
competitive sports, women on a say a soccer team will be more cooperative with each other than many of the men. Men will be a bit more singular in their actions, taking burdens upon themselves and acting in their own way. The women, however, will be much more cooperative as a team. Men have a struggle with that.
Another difference.
Well, as guys, we tend to be analytical. Unfortunately, I am extremely analytical. I know when I walk my dog in the morning how many houses we pass. It's about 100. And I keep track. And how much time did it take me to get through 20 houses? Where are we at? How are we doing? I'm always counting things. I never stop.
So girls tend to be intuitive. Our brains work differently. And as a matter of fact, when a baby is in the womb, a little boy baby, his brain gets a hormone bath at a point in the gestational process where this hormone breaks down the corpus callosum, which is a band of fibers that connects the right and the left hemispheres. And so the right and left hemispheres no longer talk to each other in a boy as much or as long or as well as they do in a baby girl's brain. And so with both sides of the brain talking to each other, girls' brains operate differently, and one of the things that makes our brains different is that we're more highly attuned to catch nonverbal cues, which is why often, and we'll mention this more later, but girls will enjoy being face-to-face where they can take in all of the micro expressions of somebody's face and their body language, and they can come away with a sense of what somebody may be feeling even without saying anything, and that's been called feminine intuition because they're picking up subtle clues that guys aren't because their brains operate differently.
They just operate better. For guys, we're linear in our thinking. We can do one thing at a time well. Now, I can walk and chew gum at the same time. I think almost all guys can do that, all right? But if I'm concentrating on something in the morning, if I'm making my espresso, and Sue happens to be up a little earlier than you, she comes and starts talking to me, I forget where I'm at. What was I doing? I have to, wait, where was I in the process? And so also our thinking tends to be compartmentalized. For men, there's a work drawer, there's a family drawer, there's a recreation drawer. And whatever we happen to be doing, that one drawer is open, all the rest are closed. And by the way, ladies, just so you know, there is a drawer for men that says nothing. If a man ever tells you, you ask him what he's thinking about, and he says nothing, he's literally not thinking of anything.
Believe him. Yeah, his nothing drawer is open.
Yes, we can actually think about absolutely nothing.
Okay?
That's actually been documented with brain experimentation about how the brain lights up when you're thinking about certain things. Whereas guys are linear in their thinking, one thing at a time, girls tend to be much better at multitasking. We've got to be able to juggle many things at once because it's girls who grow up to be women who become mothers. And if mothers could only do one thing at a time, families would not survive. There were so many days when my kids were little that I'd be making dinner and answering the phone and helping one with his homework and washing up the pots and pans from making dinner and putting a Band-Aid on the other one's knee and not thinking anything of it because I was able to handle all of that without it being a problem. When I read the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and I learned the difference about multitasking versus concentrating well on only one thing at a time, I made a strategic decision realizing that I didn't just have boys, I had little men from Mars in my house. And so I knew that, for example, I could unload the dishwasher and talk to them at the same time. And they could have my full attention because unloading the dishwasher, I'm on autopilot. I'm not thinking about that. It takes up no mental space. But they didn't know that. And so whenever I had to be in a conversation with either of my sons, I would stop doing whatever I was doing so that they could see that they had my undivided attention. And it made a difference in how they related to me. It was like they felt like I was giving them more attention than I had been, even though that really wasn't the case, but as they felt better, they felt more honored. So it's something that I kept up.
And both our sons played soccer. And even when they were young, Sue always likes to take advantage of all time possible. And so as we're close to getting ready to get in the car, of course our boys are only thinking about playing soccer. And she says, boys, go get your clothes, let's start doing laundry. Mom! Well, they didn't want to be distracted from soccer. That was what they were thinking, the one thing at a time. Don't distract me from that.
Exactly.
So when I learned that, that was another change that I made. It's like redeeming 5 minutes was not going to be worth the frustration that I was causing to my children. Our thinking is contiguous, where that means everything touching everything else. Our minds are more like a ball of yarn where everything is in touch with other parts, and as opposed to being compartmentalized. So particularly because we are relational, if there is unresolved conflict with someone, and everything is touching everything else, everything reminds us of this unresolved conflict, because we can't just put it aside. That's just not the way our brains work. It's not the way our minds work. So it's helpful to know this difference.
And for guys, we said earlier, we are action-oriented. I go to the gym usually 5 times a week when I'm teaching classes for the RHSA Homeschool Association. And I'm very committed to that. I work out. I have a upper body workout I do once a week, a lower body workout I do once a week, and the other 3 days I'm on the elliptical. It also means, however, for men, if hostility begins to breed, men tend to get physical. You want to hit somebody, shove somebody, push somebody out of the way. And if we're angry, we feel better by actually solving the problem. Let me solve the problem and I'll feel better about whatever it is.
I believe that the reason the guys are
By the way, I don't do that kind of stuff. No, I don't do that. But this guy's doing
This,
it in the photo.
Really? I could see it. I could see you doing it. Dr. Ray doing it.
Especially not with weights that heavy.
Dr. Ray doing it.
I think that the reason that guys are more oriented to moving to action is that there is a much higher amount of testosterone in male bodies than there is female bodies. And testosterone feels like energy. And energy needs to be activated and expressed and get it out there. So it makes sense that guys want to move, which is why schools, particularly elementary schools, can be so frustrating to boys who are expected to sit at
still.
a table like a girl and take it in and have conversations and sit there for hours on end when they really need to be moving so that they don't feel cooped up and claustrophobic. So where guys are action-oriented, girls are verbally oriented. God made us talkers. It's okay for us
As Ava said, she has a lot of words.
I got a lot of words.
They're also gigglers.
Some are, not everybody. But it makes sense that girls would be verbal, and girls start talking earlier than boys, and they generate 3 times as many words per day as boys.
As she does in this talk.
This is true. This is true. Now here's the thing. It makes sense that girls would be more verbal than boys because babies are birthed by mamas. We are the ones who take care of them the most in the early months and then years. We're the ones feeding them, particularly if you're breastfeeding. Mamas are taking care of babies, and we're usually the ones that help them learn to talk. And babies learn to talk by living surrounded by a sea of words. particularly from someone who is interacting with them and responding to them, as opposed to plopping them down in front of a TV or a tablet, which is only one way. It makes sense that girls would be more verbal. Guys, I just want to point out that is a feature, not a design flaw. God knew what he was doing when he made us verbal. But when we experience hostility, when we get angry at somebody, we tend to express it not with a punch or a kick, but with a word. And
Or several.
how many of you are still carrying the scars of some 7th grade girl's tongue on your soul? I mean, that was the worst year of my life, just because girls can get ugly with their mouths and use that hostility verbally. Where guys feel better by getting in there and solving problems, girls being verbal, we tend to feel better by talking about our problems. And so whether it's on the phone or face to face, we do better expressing what we're thinking and feeling with someone else.
And that can be frustrating to a guy. Why just talk about it? Just go do something about it.
I can understand women a bit better than some people can because I live with 4 of them. So I know how to fight in women verbally, big time.
One of my friends said that one of the best things he ever learned as a husband, when his wife started to talk about issues she was having, is he would ask, "Do you want me to put my listening hat on or my Mr. Fix-It hat on?" And that would allow her to tell him what it was that she needed. Because sometimes she just needed to vent. And all she wanted was him going, "Oh, yeah, tell me
Oh,
more."
I'm so sorry.
Oh, poor baby. And sometimes she wanted help with solving, but often guys will automatically put the fix-it hat on. That's
Just
not
do this.
necessarily,
It's not a problem.
that's not
Just
what
do
they
this.
want.
Guys, when we're under stress, we look for ways to distract ourselves, various activities to relax. Some of it might be going out in the driveway and shooting some hoops, or just taking a walk around the block. We want to be doing something, okay, to be able to relax. And if we're really frustrated about something, and say a man loses his job, and it's really hurts a lot, he's not quite sure what to do next, he will withdraw for maybe a day or two or longer. And several Native American tribes would say, when a man goes into his cave, do not go in after him. Because that's when what comes out?
The dragon.
The dragon comes out. Okay?
My sister needs to hear this.
If a man needs to be alone for a while, just let him be. He will figure it out. He'll start filling out resumes. He'll start sending them off, but he often can't do that right away. He needs some time to collect himself, collect his thoughts, get over the bruising, the emotional hurt, and then he'll move on.
When girls are under stress, we tend to get more involved with other people. We go running for connection with others. And we talk, not to hear ourselves talk, but to be heard and understood, which is why going into an empty room just to talk doesn't work. There needs to be a listener who's giving us feedback.
Now, for guys, we tend to bond shoulder to shoulder. Sometimes, for some men, if they go out to lunch together, it happens sometimes, but for one man to sit across the table from another, that can feel strained. There's a confrontation nature to that. It doesn't feel right. What?
Feels like a date.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Men will often, one on this side, one on that side. They're not facing each other, but they're more shoulder to shoulder. That's how men tend to do things.
Girls usually prefer to bond face to face. We want to see all the little minute changes in a person's, if her eyes are narrowing or she's holding her mouth weird or whatever. But we prefer to bond face to face. When I learned this about shoulder to shoulder, and that boys especially feel uncomfortable and threatened if somebody is making them be face to face. I started making a change with our boys when they were young. One guy, I would turn the light off in his room when it was time to go to bed, and he would be on his stomach and I would rub his back. And he couldn't see my face and I couldn't see his. And he would just start opening up and talk to me because he didn't have to look at me and I couldn't see him. And there was something freeing about that. This same boy, when he was in the Air Force, he spent 4 months in Wichita Falls, which it was close enough for him to come in on the weekends for a visit with somebody who was on base with him. And so we would go near DFW Airport on Friday afternoon and pick him up for the weekend, and then take him back to the airport to the meeting place with his buddy, where he would meet up with his buddy. And it was interesting, we might have not have even talked that much for the whole weekend, but we're in the car on our way to the meeting place, sitting there shoulder to shoulder, facing in the same direction, and he would start opening up and start talking. There was something that was like his favorite position. And I don't go for walks with anybody because I don't walk very well, but a lot of people find that going for walks is really helpful to make it easy to talk with guys.
Doesn't it help, hasn't that helped some female principals in schools? Do they have boys sent to the office?
Yeah, I discovered that one principal, when she learned about this, she made some very strategic changes in how she handled discipline problems in the classroom. Kids would be sent to see her, and usually it was for fighting or something where their adrenaline was pumping through their body. And she would have them sit for at least 10 minutes in her office while they calmed down and they were no longer operating off the brainstem. They could start be thinking logically again. And then she'd say, let's go for a walk. And she would take them outside and walk around the school. And she would say, well, tell me what happened. Not what did you do, but tell me what happened. And the fact that their leg muscles were moving, it allowed their brain to function better, and they weren't intimidated by having to be face to face with this authority figure. And they felt so much better that the discipline problems dropped from 200 down to 20 in the next year. Boys just did so much better when they felt honored and respected. And by making that one change.
And for guys, we tend to nurture a bit more aggressively. Those of you men who have brothers, have you often wrestled with your brother? Yeah. Have you wrestled with your friends? Yeah. Girls, have you ever wrestled with your friends?
Sometimes.
Yeah? Yeah?
Tomboys.
Have you seen who I live with?
See who you live with? No. Have you wrestled with other girls?
Yeah.
Oh. Listen to other girls?
Well, it's more of being attacked by my other female friends.
Oh.
They're more aggressive than I am, but I just take it.
Yeah, because you can fight them off.
It depends. It usually is like if we're trying to take something from each other or each other's shoes.
Take each other's shoes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's always taking our shoes. That's just an Anna thing.
There's so much aggression in that game. It's crazy. I don't know where that comes from.
Well, sometimes you can see dads being aggressively nurturing with their boys by tousling their hair, or
Guys will do that too. They'll punch each other in the
punch
shoulder.
each other in the
upper arm.
upper arm or whatever. And that's a much more aggressive way of saying, hey buddy, I like you, or I love you. Have you guys ever seen NCIS? the TV show in our house, right?
There's a clip from a movie. I suppose it was Rocky, but it's extremely famous. If you go on YouTube in any video that you'll see some there, it's pretty common. Pretty much any channel probably has a video in it with the clip in it. It says, two guys walking up to each other, and one guy says, "Dylan, you son of a,"
Yeah.
you know. It just kind of shows the entire way men think about each other.
Well, on this TV show, the head guy for this
Leroy Jethro Gibbs.
investigative team for the Navy, he would head slap his male teammates. They were all his subordinates.
Back of the head.
And they always felt loved by him. But he has women on his team. He never did that to them. That would be very inappropriate for a man to head slap a woman under any circumstances. And girls, that's nurturing aggressively. Girls nurture empathetically. So like if a little kid is hurting, mom, it's exactly what probably comes to mind. Mom is like, "Come here, honey, let me rub your back, let me help you feel better." And she's talking softly and tenderly to him and folds him in her arms, and we think that's what nurture is. But there's a masculine kind of nurturing that especially the boys need from their dads. Yeah, it's just that it needs to be a different kind. It doesn't need head slapping, but there's a physicality to it that helps boys grow up into men.
Guys, our primary need, respect. We need to be trusted. We need to be accepted, appreciated, admired, approved of. Men need to be encouraged. And most of all, we need to be needed. That's why for a man to lose his job is a real harsh reality, because suddenly his need within the family now has suddenly disappeared. He cannot provide for his family, and he doesn't feel as needed as he was.
Levi, you need to leave, please, dude. You're gonna make this entire lecture go.
Poor Levi. Do you need some therapy?
I am unaware of what has been, so I.
Yeah, we have no idea either.
I'm sorry, I completely forgot.
Okay, girls, our primary need is to feel cherished, which means being treated with tender care and understanding. Respect is an important part of that. Devotion, being validated, reassuring. We need to feel the specialness of being cherished, and girls need to be protected. We are weaker, physically weaker. Mothers of small children or even larger children need to be protected.
Sometimes from the larger children.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, but for example, that's one of the reasons it's so dangerous for women to be in combat, is that if women are taken hostage as a prisoner of war, one of the ways that a lot of warfare is waged against women is by raping them. And so, that's another way that women need to be protected, because we're so easily overcome by bigger, stronger people.
Okay, two very different ways of approaching words. For men, words are for conveying facts and information. If I don't have any facts or information to communicate, I don't say anything.
Exactly.
I'm quiet.
Sorry.
Yeah, for girls, words are like breathing.
Uh-huh.
We pretty much need them to live. It's not just about conveying facts and information, it's how we get in touch with our feelings, it's how we express what's on the inside and let it out on the outside. So that's why if a guy wants to really hurt a girl, he just cuts her off and I will not talk to you. If a girl wants to really hurt a guy, she cuts off the respect. And as a matter of fact, we'll go into a little bit more detail on that in a minute.
So some summaries here. Guys tend to be tough and strong.
Girls tend to be gentle and tender.
Notice the words tend to be.
This is not everybody.
Guys tend toward logic and linear thinking.
Girls tend toward emotion and verbal communication.
Guys tend to be risk takers.
Girls tend toward security and order.
Guys tend toward relational insensitivity.
Girls tend toward relational sensitivity.
Guys look toward the long haul.
Girls are generally more concerned for the here and now.
Guys are more skeptical and suspicious. The provider in him.
Girls are more believing and trusting. Oh, they can be. Maybe it's the nurturer in her.
And go back. I want to go back to the next one. Now, guys tend to be risk takers. Girls tend towards security and order. That's why when a couple decides to buy a home, the wife and the husband look at it very differently. A man is willing to take the risk. It's a big financial commitment. It can be 15, 30 years long. But go to the next slide then. But he's looking towards the long haul. This will be better for us in the long haul. The wife, on the other hand, she's about security and order. Well, she's a little afraid. We've made a big commitment here. I'm not sure I want to do that. And also, she's more concerned about the here and now, not thinking about the long haul. So a husband and wife need to be communicating through that home buying process so that one or the other doesn't feel stepped on.
Please hear again, this is generally speaking, not at all saying all men are like this or all women are like this. We have a story to share. The butterfly and the buffalo.
Can you guess which is which?
The butterfly. The butterfly has a keen sensitivity. It is sensitive even to the slightest breeze. It flutters above the ground, or it can get a panoramic awareness of its surroundings. It notices the beauty of even the tiniest flowers. Because of its sensitivity, it is constantly aware of all the changes going on around it and is able to react to the slightest variation in its environment. Thus, the butterfly reacts with swiftness toward anything that might hurt it. Try to catch one without a net sometime. If a tiny pebble were taped to its wing, the butterfly would be severely injured and eventually die.
The buffalo is another story. It is rough and calloused. It doesn't react to a breeze. It's not even affected by a 30-mile-an-hour wind. It just goes right on doing whatever it was doing. It's not aware of the smallest of flowers, nor does it appear to be sensitive to slight changes in its environment. Tape a pebble to the buffalo's back and it probably won't even feel it. The buffalo isn't rotten to the core just because he goes around stepping on pretty flowers. In fact, the buffalo's toughness is a tremendous asset. His strength when harnessed can pull a plow that 4 grown men can't pull. He, the man, may tend to plow through circumstances while the woman may feel life and her surroundings with much more sensitivity.
And so God, in his infinite humor and wisdom, arranges for butterflies to marry buffaloes. So we need to be understanding.
I don't think that's the best analogy ever.
Okay. We talked about women needing to be cherished, and so these are instructions given to men. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her. A man's love for his wife is supposed to be a self-sacrificing that will help her feel quite cherished. Also in Peter, he says, you husbands, likewise, live with your wives in an understanding way. She is to be cherished. You need to understand that about her. You always need to, and a man always needs to be a student of his wife.
Not everyone is going to get married, but it could be helpful to look at these passages that address relational differences in marriage to get an idea of the bigger picture of women and men.
Women need security. If anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for his immediate family, talking to the man, he is denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Women need to be treated with tenderness and gentleness. Again, in 1 Peter, you husbands likewise live with your wives in an understanding way, as with a weaker vessel, since she is a woman. Now, what he's talking about here, weaker vessel. You consider a man like a tin coffee cup. You can take that tin cup and you can throw it around, bang it up against the wall, and it puts a few dents in it, but it'll still hold coffee. A woman's like a fine china cup. You can't toss it against the wall. You can't toss it up and down. Smash it on, throw it to the floor because it'll break. A bit more fragile. That's just a bit more of an analogy.
Okay, we said that women are verbal creatures, which is why it's really interesting that the same God who made women to be so verbal, through Peter, gives this command to wives to be submissive to your own husbands, so that even if any of them are disobedient to the word, they may be won without a word by the behavior of their wives, as they observe your chaste and respectful behavior.
A man will notice the actions far more than any words.
Nobody has ever been nagged into obedience. Nobody has ever been nagged into the kingdom of God. It just doesn't work that way. But men also need respect and support. And so in both Paul and Peter command wives to submit to your husbands. And in Ephesians 5:33, Paul writes, "Let the wife see to it that she respects her husband." And we are told, wives are told to give respect and support, because this is the primary need of her husband or of any man.
Men are naturally self-oriented. So it's interesting that in this same passage, Ephesians 5, Paul says, so husbands ought also to love their own wives as their own bodies. Men tend not to think of it quite this way, but we do have a great deal of respect and we give honor to our bodies. If you go into any fitness gymnasium, there's always a place where all the free weights are, and guess what it's lined with? Mirrors. When men are working with free weights, they want to be, am I doing this right? Most women do not want to go where the mirrors are. Some do. We have a woman in our community group who does just that. She wants to see herself as she does her workout. But for the most part, the mirrors are there for the men. We do love our bodies. And so Paul says, love your wives as their own bodies.
It's interesting that in one verse, using a great economy of words, God gives a command to husbands and wives that address both of the basic needs of men and women, that men need respect, women need to be cherished. Look at Ephesians 5:33. Nevertheless, each individual among you also is to love, there it is, his own wife, even as himself, and the wife must see to it that she respects her husband. So love and respect are both there in one verse. But not everybody's going to be married. But God says within the body of Christ, within the family of God, this is how we are to love each other. Paul is telling Timothy, treat younger men as brothers, older women as mothers, and younger women as sisters with absolute purity. And so we are to show respect to men and cherishing to women as family members. Regardless of marital status, we need to love each other like family. still staying in the scriptures, let's talk about the effect of the fall and the curse on Eve. Remember, we said that women are relational in nature by design. That's how God made us. And so the effect of Eve's sin was going to be on her relationships. God says to the woman, I will greatly multiply your pain in childbirth. In pain you will bring forth children, yet your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you. This is saying that not only is there going to be more in giving birth, but there's going to be relational power differential and problems in mother and children relationships, and you're going to want to control your husband, but he's going to rule over you. There's going to be a power struggle between husband and wife. It's going to be hard to deal with this relational aspect of the fall.
The effect of curse on Adam is toward our task-oriented nature. To Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten from the tree about which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat from it, cursed is the ground because of you. In toil you will eat of it all the days of your life. For both thorns and thistles it shall grow for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you will eat bread, till you return to the ground, and because from it you were taken, for you are dust, and to dust you shall return. So he's simply saying that what was apparently so simple and easy in the garden, now you're going to have to work pretty hard to get bread. The crops you plant, there's going to be thorns and thistles and weeds, and you're going to have to work to get rid of all that stuff in order for your crops to grow well.
We want to close this with a great quote from a wonderful writer, Stu Weber, from this great book,
It's from the book Tender Warrior. I want to recommend this book to all you guys in here. Tender Warrior, huh?
Got it.
Got it? Okay. Would you recommend it?
Yes.
Okay. Guys, I recommend this book to you, but I also recommend it to the ladies. By reading Stu Weber's Tender Warrior, you will have a much better picture of what kind of person you want to have as a husband. And guys, if the ladies have read this book and you haven't, they ain't looking for you. Okay? It says, guys, as husbands, you have been given a trust, a stewardship, a responsibility, a duty to husband or manage or care for the gifts of your wife. If you abuse that trust, you fail at the very heart of your manhood. In effect, if you abuse the trust, you die. Adam did, and Adam died. It's part of the deathly nature of sin and disobedience. Let me put it a little more bluntly. If you lay a hand on a woman, you should be shot. He's a former Marine. Okay? A woman was made to be provided for, protected, and cared for. A man was made to be a provider, protector, and caregiver. Nothing is more pitiful than a man forfeiting his masculinity or a woman her femininity by transgressing the created order. Puts a pretty good summary on it all. Part of the book is called The Four Pillars of Manhood. We're not going to discuss that necessarily. Since men are the leaders and the ones responsible for the family, if men will fulfill their proper roles, women will follow and respond according to their created role. So guys, if you want your wife to follow that created role, you fulfill your created role. Many problems in society and in the family today can be directly traced to men who have not fulfilled their responsibilities. Directly traced to men who have not fulfilled their responsibilities.
It's not saying the men have caused all the problems in society.
Well, you will find that most men, and even women in prison, grew up in fatherless homes.
It's true.
So
Have
it is a
women
big,
ever caused a problem though? Let's see.
it's a big issue. Okay.
Do you have any questions or comments?
Or objections.
I have a comment. I just think it's interesting. I don't know. I'm sure other people have noticed it. But the title was Guys Are From Mars and Girls Are From Venus.
Mhm.
Mars is the Roman name of Ares, the god of war.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very masculine person, you know, war, cool stuff like that.
Cool stuff like war, yeah.
Yeah, we were watching you play Axis and Allies.
Yeah.
Yes.
And girls are from Venus. Venus is the Roman name for Aphrodite, so very feminine character.
Goddess of love.
Exactly, and fertility, and so I didn't notice that till today, so I just thought that was
Sure.
an interesting thing to
Yep.
mention.
Thank you for that.
That was good.
Okay.